Welcome everyone to the first fuel injection podcast Court of Cars debate. Today we will be debating whether or not the new BMW M3 and M4 are cool or not. So welcome everyone. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Okay, so let's just get straight to it. I'll begin. I'm on the attacking team, and I don't think that the new BMW M3 and M4 are cool because, well, quite simply that grille, those big, I like to call it the lung grille. It's not like a kidney grille anymore. It's this big gaping thing on the front of the M3 and the M4, and BMW, they're known, the whole heritage has been that kidney grille, like that's the defining thing. That's what how a lot of people know what a BMW looks like, is because they have that great defining kidney grille. And now they've taken that and they've expanded it and they make it this big gaping thing. And for me, I think they've kind of thrown away that whole beautiful heritage they had with that kidney grille. So I think they've moved on and not quite done it as elegantly as they could. So, would the defense like to make his statement?
Well, I think my question is making both separate. Did I hear me? Well, I think no. Well, I think the thing with the BMW M3, well, first their grille, it's a massive issue when you can swap it for a BMW M4. The grille, which honestly I don't think it's got that much, and I think the normal 3 Series grille, it is a little bit large for the car, but I don't think it looks that bad. And I think the rest of the car still looks pretty good, especially like the wide grille, which is a lower stance compared to the old one, a little bit tall. And I think the rest of the car is quite balanced quite well, other than that grille, which is just a bumper. And the car's going to drive good. The M4 is going to handle well, it's going to drive well, and it's still offered as a manual. And this one should, based on rumours, be coming as an estate car. And the last performance estate car of that size we got was the Volvo V60 Ultra. So I think that's cool.
That's true. I mean, yeah, but I mean the engine, it's a fine engine, but previous M3s have had V8s, right? And now I think they have inline 6s, which, I mean, they still sound nice and they still produce a fair amount of horsepower, but they're just not, they're not quite as, like, the whole essence of the M3 and the M4 and indeed all the BMW M cars is that they're fast, they're powerful, they're loud, and you just don't get as much of that sense that they're really like this big, like, brutish, like, heavy, fast car. You don't get as much of that, like, performance whiff. You kind of just get, like, this slightly toned down version of it, which, I mean, it's not terrible. They haven't completely messed it up, but they haven't. I think they still should have a nice big V8 to, you know, keep that, like, true essence of the BMW M car. But yeah,
I think, if I remember correctly, the only M3 with the rear was the V90. Everything, I think the other two main ones, the 46 and the F80, which is the one before this current new one, both have inline 6s, and the E36, and the E30 even came with a 4-cylinder. So I don't really think the V8 is the main part of the M3 heritage. And I think it sounds a bit because that's maybe makes everything sound good, but I think the American spec one might have the best sound, so you require that.
I mean, that's a fair point, actually. I know, I think you're right about how a lot of the more modern M3s have been straying away from that V8, but if you look at not just the M3, if you look at M cars in general, a lot of them in the past have had, like, nice, big, powerful, loud engines, and that's that's kind of what the M car is about. It's about performance and being quick and being loud and giving more of that like pure driving pleasure for people who like to drive and people who like to go fast and have that pure joy. And I think when you put like an inline 4 or an inline 6 in there, some of that joy is lost because, again, it feels kind of like this like watered down, slightly like lessened version. Like they're trying to. I mean, and I know they're probably trying to meet emissions regulations, or they're doing it to adjust to what the government's making them do, but they still, I think they should still make a bit more of an effort to make it feel like an M car. And I just don't think these new ones. I think they feel a bit less like an M car, and they're not quite as performance oriented as they used to be. So.
I think I do agree with you there. It looks a bit more like the normal 3 Series and M cars in the past, but I think the inline 6 is more than a good enough unit, especially, I'm not exactly sure which inline 6 is actually fit on, but it's the gate motor. Those are very good engines, but I'm not exactly sure, so I'm quite quoting on that one. And I don't recall the big engines in the M cars from the mid to late 2000s. The M5 was V10, the M4 was V10. Right. But all the ones before that had smaller engines, had the brilliant cars. So E36 and E46 are brilliant cars, even though they only come with inline 6 engines, and E30 would only get with inline 4. Still say it's a brilliant car. And I think the big brute cars are definitely more of AMG's alley. AMG still makes it big. I've always found the M cars to be a bit more fairly balanced, and a bit more driver focused in the corners, and I have no doubt the more confident in the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I'll somewhat agree with you on that. I think AMG is definitely more performance oriented, and I think they definitely are what people will tend to go to if they want like more of a big V8, and if they want even more performance. But if you look at all the past M cars, if you look at ones like just starting at the E30 M3, if you begin like from the beginning, and the old M1, and if you just look at the whole heritage, even if you look at the 21st century ones, like the E60 M5 with that V10, they all used to be more like an AMG. They used to have more, and people used to want to buy an M car because they used to be faster, and they used to have bigger engines, and they used to just be more like an AMG, and they used to be able to do more performance-oriented stuff. But now that they have smaller engines, or maybe less powerful engines, people are going over to the AMG side, and they're buying AMGs, which obviously is not good for BMW because they're losing some clients because they're going over to the AMG side because AMG still provides that performance that some people want. And I don't think that BMW, I don't think that was a wise decision to start making it less, because ultimately they have lost some customers because there's still people out there that want the big engines, big loud engines, fast engines, and some of the new M cars just aren't providing that. And I'm not saying that the M cars aren't good, I'm just saying they're not as good. And ultimately I think BMW haven't made the best decision in doing what they're doing now.
I still think the new M3 has got some fun. Apparently it's going to make it 103 horsepower. Sounds like a lot of power. I'm still not just it's not the most reliable source, but it says the E30 M3 came with a 2-litre 4-cylinder. You only with late 2000s. Really interesting cars, I think, because that was when we had the best technology and the laws. And I don't think, and although comparatively it's not those cars in the past, I think when you compare it to modern rivals, it also has the downside. Like, I think the downside to the 4 litre V8 power plant is well, the 6.2 DAC. I don't think this laws rather than doing downgrade that. And it still comes with manual box is something that maybe hasn't dropped or stuff.
Yeah, I mean it does. It does come with a manual transmission, and that I have to admit, BMW good job with that. But with the 503 horsepower, yeah, that's a fair amount. But if you look at let's say a C63, I think that comes with is that 577? I think somewhere in there. I think it comes with a bit more, and so. If you look at AMG, they have more power versus the M car, which has a bit less power. And I don't see how BMW can compete with AMG now that they're making these like toned down versions of that they're making the M cars have less power. I just don't see how it's still able to compete with the AMGs and how people are still buying them when just down the road there's an AMG that has a lot more power and a lot more torque and pretty much for the same ballpark in terms of the price. So I just don't see the value for money is what I'm trying to say.
Still, I'm gonna have to agree with you with the value for money bit, but that's completely on a different tangent because I've been all over it. Yeah? And you can get the brand £1,000 during the portfolio. But that's I think the deal. That's then But anyway, I still think it's big enough increase, especially the generation before that only came about 430 horsepower, which is much compared to the current. And the I feel the M3s not always had the same amount of power. I think they've had a little bit less, and I think they're a bit more focused on driver focus. If that makes sense. And a bit more balanced car than we said earlier. I think they're a bit more based on the driving feel as well. Become with the manual gearbox.
I mean, I can't disagree with you on that. The manual box definitely does give that pure driving feel. And I will say that the step up from 430 horsepower to 503 is a significant amount, but I just still don't think that it's enough. It's not big enough of a power increase to justify being able to compete with an AMG or an Audi RS5, let's say. Yeah, I don't think they can really fully compete with, let's say, AMG or Audi or the Alpha. Well, I think they could compete with the Alpha Quadrifoglio because that has 505, I think. But other than that, I don't see how they can really have competitors. But yeah, so I think that will conclude the statements from the attacking team and the defense team. So let's move on to the jury. What do you guys think?
I think that you made some pretty good points about how the C63 is a lot more powerful and that AMG provides more powerful cars, but it's not all about power, it's how it can deliver the power, and with the manual, the new M3 and M4 are still fine driver's cars. The M4 is also a lot, bigger in size compared to the C63 and other AMG cars, and that size difference, the 500, 3 horsepower, that's still enough to get it off the line quickly. And with the new grills, way back 70 years ago with the 328, there were still those really long grills. The grills are still big, and they've kind of brought that back, which does add to its heritage. So I'm leaning more towards the fact that the new M cars are still viable competitors and they're still good cars.
I the M3 is always, I've always liked it. Mostly because it was always the bar. It seemed like when those kind of cars were being compared back in the day when I had to read Road and Track and stuff like that to find out this stuff, they were always lower on horsepower by at least 100 horsepower. When I got into them, they were right around 300 to 333 horsepower out of a 6-cylinder. And I always found it fascinating that when it come to track time and drive time, they could keep the same numbers as the bigger V8s running 100 to, in some cases, 150 horsepower more. They stuck to balance, that 50-50 weight ratio, when a lot of cars just kind of give up on it, it seemed like. They still tried to keep them lightweight. Manual gearbox, that's a bonus. It's becoming very niche now. A lot of people's went to your paddle shifts, your automatics. It's just easier and they're faster. Let's face it, they're quicker than we are. The grill is a bit horrendous. I ain't gonna lie. It's pretty gawping. But I come from a generation that when they give up on the individual round headlights and went to the fully enclosed headlight, that was appalling then. You had the individual 4 headlights and not just a slide-in 1 encased unit. I thought it was going to be done with BMW then, just because of the headlights. I remember when they caught a lot of heat over the whole bangled taillight system because that was so god-awfully horrible. They have survived a lot of design flaws over the years and a lot of hate for changing things. I think they'll survive this one, just because they maintain that they are the best driving machine out there. I don't think they've lost focus on that. I think it's a little overhyped now and taken advantage of, but I think it's still there. I think the M cars are going through a bad change right now. Love it or hate it, but they always continue. I'm 46 now. I mean, they were the bar when I was growing up. Every car from Mercedes to even our American cars were put against the M3s and stuff then. And today it still seems to be the same way. So if you can maintain being the standard for that long, I think you're still a cool car.
That's fun. Cody?
And I agree with grill part. While it still adds to the heritage, it's a bit excessive. I mean, it is taking up almost the entire front, and the bigger vents on the sides aren't really helping it out, but it's still the bar. It's still a very good car, and I think that the M4s M3 too, I still think they're very good cars.
I agree. I think like Audi. Remember when Audi, well, even Lexus, went to that giant grille and everybody hated them, saying it looked like a yawning catfish and all kinds of stuff. It was horrible. But now people embrace it, and even the aftermarket kits embrace that giant grille. Will we do that with BMW? Well, it'll tell. I'm sure there's going to be haters who's going to hate, but I'm sure there's a lot of us who just go along with it and think it's fine. And just like I got over the enclosed headlights, we move on.
Yeah. Cody, have any thoughts to add? We can't hear you, Cody. We can't hear you. No? Okay. Let's move on to TJ, then we'll come back to Cody. Alright, TJ, any thoughts?
I think I just agree with Mason. Don't really have anything to add, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah, I think Mason made some good points about the standard and how they're still a viable thing. And I think that's also what Doug said about they're still a viable option. Yeah. All right. Cody, you want to give it a shot? Oh, we still can't hear you. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
connection, probably.
Yeah. Poor connection, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. So, I think everyone made a good point. Thank you to the jury, and so let's move on. Let's say, what's the jury's verdict? What do you guys have to say? Attacking team or defense team?
Probably defense.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But the attacking
Defense.
team still
Yeah.
makes some strong points.
I think Damon definitely made some very strong points, and yeah. So good job, Damon. Congratulations. Thank you all so much for coming. Sorry about Cody's connection problems. We'll try to sort that out for next time. Yeah, so please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys next time.
And I thank all of you guys.
Bye.
Well,